I'm David Fleming from the Disciples Ignited YouTube channel, where we are focused on Jesus, advancing his kingdom, and preparing his disciples. Now we're studying the book of Romans, and this week we're in Romans chapter 7, where we're going to be dealing with such things as the theme of the law, the power of sin, and our sinful nature. But what I want to deal with today is one of the most debated passages in the book of Romans, if not the whole of Scripture. It is Romans chapter 7, starting with verse 14, and we'll read down to verse 20. I'll be reading it to you today from the NIV. Listen carefully. Paul wrote, "We know that the law is spiritual, but I am unspiritual, sold as a slave to sin. I do not understand what I do, for what I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do. And if I do what I do not want to do, I agree that the law is good. As it is no longer myself who do it, but it is sin living in me. For I know that good itself does not dwell in me, that is, in my sinful nature. For I have the desire to do what is good, but I cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing. Now if I do what I do not want to do, it is no longer I who do it, but it is sin living in me who does it." Now, why is this passage so debated? Well, the question is, who is Paul writing to? Is he writing to Christians? Do Christians do things that they don't want to do and don't do things that they should be doing? Or is Paul writing to non-Christians who are trying to prove themselves by living by the law and prove themselves to God by being good? Well, it really depends on whether Paul is talking about his own personal life, because Paul is obviously talking about himself. Is he writing about his life before he came to Jesus and was transformed and born again? Or is he writing about his life as a Pharisee who is constantly trying to keep the law and prove himself to God? I believe that we have an answer to this in that which Paul wrote to the Galatians in Galatians chapter 5. Let me read it to you. Paul wrote in Galatians chapter 5, starting with verse 16 through 18. "So I say, live by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the sinful nature. For the sinful nature desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the sinful nature. They are in conflict with each other." In other words, they're constantly battling one another. So Paul is talking about this battle that is going on inside of every Christian between their sinful nature and that which God has caused to be reborn in them, their spirit that desires to please the Lord. Now see, when we get born again, when we are saved, when we begin to follow Jesus, Jesus gives us a brand new spirit. We are alive in the Spirit. But yet he does not get rid of our sinful nature. There is still within us this nature that wants to do evil. And that's where the conflict is that Paul writes about in Galatians. But Paul ends Romans chapter 7 giving us great victory. And this is what he says: "What a wretched man I am." And can't we all say that of ourselves? "Who will rescue me from this body that is subject to death? Thanks be to God who delivers me through Jesus Christ." That, my friend, is the answer. Our victory is in Jesus. I'll see you again tomorrow.